I need your thoughts on The Bear, episode 2, hands all day.
Heard. Spoilers ahead, chef.
Let it rip.
If you watch a show and don't immediately trade memes and giggles with your best Judy, did you really have the few viewing experience?
Of course not. When the credits roll, that's our signal to debrief.
I'm Jose Miguel.
And I'm Leslie.
And we've been friends since we were kids.
And we realize some shows are just too good not to gab about. This is Heated Reverence.
All right, the order's in. Let's get the IMDb description and the recap out to the table.
A surprise health inspection reveals the cracks in the restaurant's foundation. Carmy goes head to head with Richie. All right. So, as a first time viewer, what's your overall vibe after watching this episode?
The first thing that comes to mind is that I still hate Richie. I don't, and hate is such a strong word, right? But at the same time, this episode was obviously way better than the first one. There was much more substance. There was something to kind of grab to. And I felt like there was a stronger connection to the characters. As a first time watcher, I understand a little bit more about what's happening here. Yes, still the same chaos, but the biggest thing for me was like, why is this fucker here?
Well, I'm okay with the fact that you are having strong feelings about Richie, because it means that the show is doing its job in terms of being compelling. If it's invoking emotions in you, I think you're on the right track. It's very similar to where I was on my journey with Richie.
So Carmi's dealing with severe burnout and the weight of his past as he tries to force professional standards on the kitchen that is still pushing back. As a surprise health inspection hits the shop,
So, you're not Ron.
Ron's gone. Gone.
Ron's dead?
Who is Ron?
with a disastrous C grade, making the crew scramble to fix safety violations.
So bitching to me? You wanna run this place, you fucking slut?
How do you know they're not your sick?
Because I'm not a fucking thief!
How do you know they're not?
To make matters worse, Uncle Cicero shows up to tell Carmy he is now responsible for a massive debt that Michael kept hidden. Sydney finds her footing by stepping up to command the service line, and she catches a glimpse of a different side of Richie during a phone call with his daughter. It is a rare moment of tenderness in a relationship otherwise defined by constant friction.
Of course, I still love you. I love you so, so much. I love you more and more every day if that's possible.
What are your thoughts on the reaction here for the recap?
What stood out to me was the opening sequence because it was so sterile. It was very quiet. It was the opposite of what we see for the original beef restaurant. And you would think that that's supposed to be more ideal, that's supposed to be healthy, but actually it was, I don't know, for me, it felt even more toxic than what's going on with all the yelling and whatnot. Because as chaotic as everything is at the beef and how there's no professional boundaries, at the very least, you know where you stand all the time. Whereas in this opening sequence, we saw Carmy being the shit, right? He's heading out the kitchen and they're bringing stuff to him, and this is like a really like elite restaurant, and like the woman is petrified to like, that the sauce isn't done correctly.
Why?
Chef, I'm sorry it got too hot.
Why?
It didn't cool down.
Why?
But it was my fault.
Go.
This guy is just like berating him in his ear as Carmy is trying to like do his job.
Why do you hire fucking idiots? Do you like working with fucking idiots?
I'll do better.
Say yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
Can you not handle this? Is it too much for you? Answer me.
It was so eerie to me that I was actually relieved when we cut back to the beef and Carmy's shouting his lungs out. Like, that's chaos. That's toxicity that I can deal with. Like, I know what to do with that.
I always learn so much when you're talking about like how your perspective of it and what you saw, because I'm like, oh, I didn't recognize that because you've already seen it. Looking at the dynamics here, there's something that Sid brings to this restaurant that's very calming. And she has the knowledge and passion to do what's right. Whereas with Richie, he just can't be bothered with anything. When you think of the dynamics that Richie and Carmen are having, it just creates more disruption for what they're trying to do. It's like you're setting yourself back by allowing this behavior to continue. And then you're trying to figure out where do you go from there. Meanwhile, Sid's like, well, we're going to do this. And she's got this timid little voice and she's trying to find her voice in this whole process. So yeah, I just appreciate the fact that like there is a voice of calmness that's showing up here and trying to figure out the dynamics of the team.
The corner moment.
For me, it really came to watching Carmen, his reaction when he realized that his cigarette that was left by the stove, it wasn't like he was losing his shit thinking that it was somebody else. And, the reality that like he kind of realized, oh, it was me, and then really how to react to it.
Fuck.
I fully bought into the consensus in the episode, thinking like, yeah, everyone assumed it was Richie that fucked it up because he gives off fuck up vibes, right? And I was flabbergasted too, like, oh shit, it was Carmi all along, which I think signals things to come. For me, my corner moment was Richie hiding that envelope that he found from Mikey to Carmi. He found it. It looked like he saw a ghost when he saw the envelope, and he takes it right away to put it on Carmi's desk in the office. And when he did that, I thought, okay, so he's a stand-up guy. There's a stand-up instinct, but then the fact that he paused there and then went back and took it, it really shaded the way that I saw Richie for a while. I will admit that. I feel personally for me, putting it back where it was is such an unsafe location. Like, what if something would have happened to it?
I didn't even pick up on that. Actually, I was so focused on the whole cigarette thing because it became such a big deal. But like, why would you do that? Like, it's for him. Why not put it on his desk so he can find it? Even if you buried it under all the paperwork that he has on the desk, he would have eventually came to it quicker, like as opposed to hiding it back where it was. Maybe that wasn't the intended hiding spot. It just happened to fall from another space or something.
Who do you have for the walk-in nominee?
I mean, this is kind of obvious. Fucking Richie, right? I mean, it's just like,
No, 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 don't touch that. It will take 5 seconds to caulk. I can caulk. Let me fucking caulk.
There's no cock in house, dude.
Shut the fuck up, Vic.
nothing about this is normal. Like, I remember we were talking about this show and you were trying to convince me about how, like, oh, you've worked in fast food, you've worked in restaurants, like, you'll appreciate it. I'm like, look, there's never any place that I've worked in, even when I worked in Wendy's, that seemed as chaotic as this. There was a process. And like when we talked about episode 1, it was called System. There's no fucking system. And when we talk about like a team environment of like, there is no team. Everyone's living on their own island, doing their own thing, and not even doing the thing that they're supposed to do well. They're like half-assing it. It just seems like this dude, for me particularly, and I feel like I'm taking it personal as well because I'm like, no one wants a douchebag in a workplace. It just disrupts everything.
He must remind you of somebody. I know he reminded me of a few people.
I can name a few people. I'm not going to name anybody, but I can name a few people for sure.
So to your point though about like it not being realistic about your experience in restaurants, that's funny to me because a lot of like famous chefs, like elite level chefs, have actually remarked about how realistic it is for their personal experience. So like that's kind of wild how like they've been in like both chaotic and also resonates the more elite environment and that toxicity. Honestly, if you had walked into the original beef, if you were Sydney, you wouldn't have lasted more than a day. You would have been like, nope, this ain't for me, right? So maybe that's why you just never were in that environment for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. And I have been in really chaotic situations, but it wasn't all the time. And I think for me, like, this is very back of house, right?
Hmm.
I pivoted from back of house very quickly to then front of house to do bartending, waiting tables, and kind of managing that. So I was not seeing all the shit that was going on behind the scenes in the kitchen. So this is very much so a kitchen environment. Now, I will tell you though that I have been in restaurants that I've worked in where it has been other chaos during service. And I've seen moments where like their cops show up to go pick up somebody. Like, so it's not at this level, but it just seems like, okay, people, like, is this because of drama? Like, are we creating drama here? But like, I know the thing for me, it's just Richie. Like, I don't think that this environment would be what it is if he wasn't there.
Yes, You're right. And without giving anything away, I just want to say stay tuned. For me, the walk-in nominee is actually everyone. They're all going to have to take turns pre-shift in that walk-in because when they got the C grade, they all had a meltdown.
Oh my God, that was so funny to watch. Like,
Carmy did not want to touch it, almost like not touching it makes it not real. Like he was being subpoenaed or something, you know, like if I don't accept it, it's not handed to then
yeah,
then
yeah.
it
Don't
doesn't
touch it.
exist.
Don't touch it. That was so crazy. I'll never
And,
forget that.
and Marcus saying, like exclaiming, like, that's some hood shit right there. Like he was like, I've never, you know, having to be a patron to a restaurant that has the C on it. No. So like that was wild. Sydney felt like, do you remember that Pixar movie Discuss? Like she seems like that character. It was like Mindy Kaling voiced that character. It's the green character. That's what she looked like. She was so disgusted to be affiliated with something that had a C grade. And Richie was just like, no, 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 like as if he was hitting the undo button on a computer. Like, like somehow shouting no would somehow make it not be true, not happen. Everyone, even like the people in that wash the dishes in the background were like horrified by this grade. They all need turns in that walk-in.
But you know what's really funny about that is that, like, why are you all surprised?
Because to your point, remember, he did not expect that woman to be there. Richie had a relationship with the previous health inspector. And so they had an understanding with each other. So they never had to deal with that C grade. So
Real shit.
why is Richie around? Well, Richie's good with people. That's your first clue. What do you have for your most relatable moment?
So for me, the most relatable moment, and I think this was like really obvious, like right in front of my face, like if it was any closer, would have slapped me, was Carmen's struggle to ask for help.
Hands.
Mommy, that's your practice sandwich? You giving that to the homeless guy?
While coping with his inner demons and trying to navigate all that he's got going on. I am guilty of being that motherfucker who like will spend hours doing something to not ask for help, but not because I don't want the help, but because I like to figure shit out on my own. And I think it's from like my upbringing of like, I remember when I was a kid, I would try to ask for help. My mom would say, Llama Manya. Now, I don't know who the fuck Manya is. It was like this fake, make pretend person. And if you guys know, you know, if any Dominicans around here, if your parents told you Llama Manya, please tell me if you know who Manya is. But like, it instilled in me that like you have to put your feet
Figure
on
it
the
out.
ground, cement your feet on the ground, and work through it. The hard shit is just temporary. It's a season, and you overcome that shit. And I've always carried that mindset, but it's really hurt me as an adult in my work environment and the things that I do, not asking for help, because I think the lesson here is like learning how to ask for help so you're not wasting your energy on something that's not meant for you to figure out on your own. So that to me was like, dude, don't be scared. Like just ask, just because it's gonna be so much better for you. What was yours?
Sydney in the car with Richie, you know, it's obvious that they don't fuck with each other. They do not like each
You
other.
think?
The fact that they were assigned this task to go get the cock, it was like Sydney basically having to like reel Richie in. And Sydney obviously felt comfortable enough with Richie to like ask him.
Were you guys like related on your mom's side or like your dad's or
Neither. He was my best friend.
Thank God, by the way.
You know, but like the fact that she also got the insight. What has been it been like a week already since that she's been in working there, and like she's been wanting to know like what happened to Mikey, you know?
what was like the deal with Michael?
He shot himself in the head 4 months ago.
It wasn't until the car ride when they're in the car and he is like pushing all the wrong buttons. And it's not because you're a woman. I would say this to anyone who's driving. You know, that's so condescending and so
I wanted
annoying.
to punch him.
Man or woman, I'm not discriminating. It's dangerous to get behind the wheel when you're hysterical.
And yeah, it's super, super frustrating. And then, he picks up the phone and he's a completely different person. And he is so emotionally in tune with his daughter and what his daughter needs. And Sydney is just this fly on the wall.
I'd be crying too. She's at this different school, and those kids are a bunch of fuck faces.
I used to work in a place where like everybody worked in like an open setting, and I would overhear people having like really intimate
Intense.
conversations with like their loved ones during their shift. But then they would display like this really human moment, and like, okay, there's more depth to you there. I need to give you the benefit of the doubt, and like I'll figure out how to work with you eventually. I'm still learning who you are, and Sydney being a fly on the wall, well, she as soon as he got off the phone, you could tell she felt like, I'm not supposed to be hearing this.
Yes, her face gave you that immediate reaction, like, can I open the window and crawl out of it, like, while the car's in motion? Because I'm supposed to be sitting on the roof for this conversation.
Yeah, but then she followed up with like, how old is your daughter? To the point where eventually Rich felt vulnerable enough to admit like he feels like he chose the wrong cock that they bought, and she revealed that she bought the correct one. She knew she was letting him make his mistake. She bought the correct because she has his back. And his response was, "Oh shit, Sydney's making moves." So like it's showing like there's signs there that they can come to an understanding. It's going to be a long, windy road, but the seeds are there.
Yeah, yeah. They're kind of feeding us just tidbits of him, to me, which is still not enough. Like, yes, there's a warmth because you have a child. It doesn't make you any less of a douchebag because, for all intents and purposes, there's so many people like that. But then at the same time, I'm like, their relationship feels like they have more in common about their personalities that is could be like the common ground to get to a better place. I don't know if that was enough in this setting for that car ride to be stuck together, for that to kind of become something better, but just seeing it play out, she's gotta be the bigger person in this and kind of take his bullshit for whatever it is to get to potentially the other side of it. I don't know, we'll see if that is the case, but I don't know, I was just like, "Oh, these 2 are gonna fucking kill each other in this car," and then it just became the complete opposite of that, but
Yeah.
he's still a douchebag to me.
All right. So what do you got for your Michelin standard rating?
So you're gonna be really surprised by this. I actually gave it a 1. So
Okay.
it came from the fact that, like, there's there's kind of like I don't know what you call, like, the beginning of an evolution in this, like, it's not the arc because I feel like we're far from it, but the fact that we're able to take glimpse into the dynamics of people, and somehow there's ownership happening and accountability happening in individual characters and them trying to do it for each other. And then that moment with the restaurant inspection where they all were kind of like in agreement when the whole entire time they're not in agreement. I was like, wow, there's something here. I want to stop and hang out with these folks for a hot second just to watch it. Even if I'm a fly on the wall watching it, I'm like, oh, okay, I see y'all. You're coming together a little bit here. What was yours?
I definitely give it 1 star as well. It was worth a stop, and it made me hit the next button right away. The fact that we got that turn, that it was Carmi, all throughout the entire episode, we were seeing like, see Carmi is for Carmi, like on the screen of the storefront window. Like we saw that they put up the C grade and it was like for Carmi. I legit bought into the fact like Richie gives off vibes of being a screw up. And so it was most definitely him that did that. But the fact that we got that switch up at the very end, it was Carmen all along. I was like, okay, no, this show is gonna be unpredictable. It's definitely worth me paying attention to. That is our service.
Heard. We'll be back next time to discuss episode 3, Brigade. Heated Reverence is hosted by Jose Miguel Longo and Leslie Obando.
If you enjoyed obsessing with us, hit the like button, and more importantly, follow the show or subscribe so you're invited to every hang session.
Tell us your own heat and heart score or the exact second a scene ruined your brain on Instagram and TikTok at Heated Reverence. You can also catch the full video version of the show on our YouTube channel.
And for long-form thoughts that need more than a caption, hit us at heatedreverence@gmail.com. We'll see you next week.